Welcome back to another episode of Making Sense with me, John Napolitano. We're here to break down the big questions high net worth families face. You know, the ones your investment guy never talks about. No fluff, no finance 101, just straight talk to help you make smarter decisions and keep your wealth working as hard as you do. Let's get to it. Hello, I'm John Napolitano here with another edition of Making Sense. Today, we're going to talk about a very interesting topic that I'm sure you don't spend a lot of time thinking about, at least for your personal life, and that is cybersecurity. You know, there's lots of criminals all over the world that are looking to get into your personal stuff, your data, your bank accounts, your checking accounts, your investment accounts, everything. And it's something that, in my experience, most high net worth people will think that their business is covered, but don't ever think about what's going on in the home. So today, we're going to unravel that for you. And my guest today is Mark Hurley. Mark is one noted expert in the world of cybersecurity. Mark, how are you doing today?
Doing great. Thanks for having me today.
Why don't you tell the folks about your background and kind of what you do for a living and what makes you good at this stuff?
Oh, well, thank you very much. I have started several companies. This one I started working on 6 years ago. In earlier life, I went to West Point, and many of my classmates from there became either cyber warfare people or worked for the FBI in cyber, and noticed that there was a real gap in the stuff to help families protect themselves. So with the help of my classmates, we've started a company that provides a turnkey concierge type cybersecurity service for families. It does everything for the client, includes the technology, everything. It costs $35 a month. Cybercrime is now bigger than the sale of illegal drugs worldwide combined. Everybody who's on the internet has been breached. Everyone who's on the internet will be breached again. So the question isn't whether you're going to at some point be hacked and have some issues. The question is, how big are the issues going to be, and what do you do to protect yourself?
So, Mark, I see a lot of people that tell me, oh, I don't go online for any of that stuff. My banking, my investments, nothing. My response to them is typically then, well, just because you don't go there doesn't mean it's not out there. Can you address that for us?
Oh, absolutely. Like it or not, we live in a digital world, and everybody who has an account, there's a way for a cyber criminal to access the account. Now, the easiest way for cyber criminals to steal money from you is to either get into your devices or get into your accounts. A good example that people don't realize is that when you have a device that you get it from the store, the default settings on the device are designed to export your information to these companies that have sold you the device and gave you the software. They like to take that information and sell it. So as a consequence, anytime you access anything online, in about 5 places, they're recording your email, your user ID and your password. And so all a cyber criminal has to do is to find a way to get into your device. And a really common way of doing that is you're at a bar or restaurant, you're not paying attention, you opening up your cell phone to look for something, somebody's looking over your shoulder, they distract you and they grab the device, and then the passwords for every single online account you have are just sitting there. Now, the only way to prevent this is you have to turn on about 60 settings on an Apple device, about 120 on a Windows device. But if you don't, everything you have can quickly be accessed and looted very quickly, even if you don't regularly use that to go into these accounts.
So that's if someone physically picks up your cell phone or your iPad and borrows it for a little while. How else might they get in?
Well, it's not that hard to hack into devices. There's a famous story of a Google engineer who had seen the new iOS for an iPhone a few years ago and noticed a glitch in how that software was written. And so then he figured a way that he could send a text message to the phone, and that the person who owned the phone didn't even have to open the text message, and it would still infect the phone with a virus and allow the bad guys to come in and grab all the information. Now, we know this is true because the Google engineer, who was very ethical, went to Apple and warned him of this, and they issued a patch, and then the Google engineer got to show off at the next conference how easy it is. Anybody that works in cyber will tell you that there is no perfect system. If you're connected to the internet, you're getting breached. Just get over it. If you're using a cell phone, you're getting breached. Using an iPad, you're getting breached. Very easy way to get to people is through their home Wi-Fi. Everything connected to your network. If I can breach just one piece of equipment, like say your doorbell or your Alexa, and those things aren't hard to breach unless you set them up correctly with very lengthy, sophisticated passwords, I can go in and sit and watch you work online and copy all your passwords. There's an executive at a financial services company, a company that works with our company, and they were due diligence guests at the time. And what happened was one morning, this guy came in and couldn't get any of his devices. They were into his personal accounts. They were into all his work accounts. He couldn't even access his network. And what we figured out, and they got a hold of us, and fortunately we were able to get there quick enough and he didn't lose anything. It's really rare. But we figured out they'd gone in through the doorbell and they'd sat and watched for 2 weeks, copied all the passwords, and then all of a sudden locked them out of everything. And they tried to grab as much money as they can. You have to just realize that you have to think of this as, if there's a way to get you, they're going to try to do it. And so you have to think about each of the different ways and then take some really basic steps to protect yourself. And if you do that, you should be fine.
So literally through their I'm going to call it a Ring doorbell because I don't know. I'm not up on all the brands of those funky doorbells. I still have an old school one. Someone busted into that and was able to back into everything else.
Yeah. In fact, I don't know if it's finalized now, but there was a class action litigation against Ring itself just because it was so easy to get in. I mean, the part that clients don't really realize, they all think about this as money. They got to remember this. They're not just guys trying to steal money that are taking advantage of this. For example, 4 out of 5 home burglaries, the cyber criminals or the burglars will use someone's unprotected social media account to figure out when they're away from home. Now, when I say a social media account that's unprotected, what I don't mean is that they're hacking into the account. What they're doing is, if you don't turn on hundreds of privacy settings on your social media accounts, Meta has like 80, you have to engage, LinkedIn's 115. If you don't engage all these, all the information in your account is effectively in the public domain. And they can use that information to figure out when you're away from home, to actually use that to see what's inside your house. I mean, to give you a sense how aggressive this has all become, they're now going into these accounts and downloading videos and cloning the voices and images of people in the videos. And then they'll pose as the people. For example, a very common attack are fake kidnappings. They'll go into a parent or grandparent's social media account. They'll download a video where the child's in it. They'll clone the child's voice. They'll then spoof the caller ID for the kid's cell phone. It's not hard to do. They'll make it so that when they call you, it looks like the kid's calling you. And someone will come on the line and you'll hear your kid in the background screaming for help, saying, okay, I've got your kid. You got 1 hour to wire $10,000 to this offshore account. I start hurting them. The kid's fine. The parents have no way of knowing this. What do you think they do? They wire the money. I mean, we all have to start realizing it's not the 1990s anymore.
Right.
Like, we got to start acting more responsibly online.
So if you get that call from allegedly your granddaughter that says, I'm in trouble, you need to send someone $50,000 or they're going to kill me, how can you verify or not verify that it's true?
That's hard to do because they generally give you a very short fuse time frame to do something. And I understand that there's so much information out there, if you're not acting with good cyber privacy, not just cybersecurity, that they can profile. They'll know where you're at. They'll know where the kid is. They'll know the kid's activities. But also, let's understand that most people are fairly irresponsible in general when they operate online. For example, they don't use sophisticated passwords. There's a company that's called Hive that uses computers and AI software to correctly guess passwords. The military calls this a brute force attack. And they did a study at the end of 2023. For the first time, they used ChatGPT, the AI software, along with their normal processes to try to guess passwords. And they found they can correctly guess any 8-digit alphanumeric password. We're talking uppercase, lowercase, letters, symbols, etc., in less than 1 second.
Whoa.
So if you're on this call, on this podcast, and you're using an 8-digit password, don't bother. You're not going to slow anybody down. We have to understand that the cyber criminals are the earliest adopters of artificial intelligence. And the only way you really can protect yourself and your accounts is to use 20 to 25 digit randomly generated alphanumeric passwords. And you never, ever, ever reuse a password. But if you do that, it's extraordinarily hard for the bad guys to get into your accounts.
Like how hard is hard? So a 25 character bizarre password.
It'll
How
take
long
them,
with that fancy
with a
computer?
computer would take them many billions of years.
Come on,
But
billions?
billions. Now that said, Google and Amazon each have announced new chips that are designed for quantum computing. And what'll happen, we think, over the next 5 years is that these times will come down dramatically. So like with our service that we provide to clients, we use 20 to 25 digit ones now because that's what most of the sites will support. I'm willing to bet you that within 5 years, all these sites are going to change and we'll be using 50 digit ones at that point.
Yep. Hey, in full disclosure, I am a user of Mark's company services, and I have passwords that I never would have dreamed I'd ever be using because I couldn't remember them all. And by the way, the little black book, not good. The use the same password, not good. So let's start talking about some of the solutions, Mark. What can a high net worth family do to protect themselves?
Well, the first thing you need to do is get 3 types of inexpensive but widely available technology. One, everybody should use a password manager. Unless you're Dustin Hoffman or Rain Man, you're not going to remember 20 to 25 digit alphanumeric passwords that are unique for 300 different accounts. So you can get software that is encrypted that you can store them all in. We recommend Keeper. That's what we use for our clients. Very easy to use. And once you get all your accounts in there and you reset all the passwords, all you have to remember is one password. That's the one to get into the password manager. And we encourage people to write it down and put it in a safe because anything happens to them, their family won't be able to get into these accounts without that password. Now, that said, once it's set up, it's very easy. You just open up the password manager, you click on the account, it automatically goes to the account. About 80% of the time, all the fields are auto-populated, so you're into the account without having to do anything else. About 20% of the time, you may have to just push on the password and paste it in. It dramatically simplifies your life. The second thing everybody should get is software called a virtual private network, or VPN. We recommend a company called Surfshark. What this does is it encrypts your online traffic. Now, people don't realize is that whenever you're using public Wi-Fi, anyone else connected to that network can see what you're doing, and they will literally sit and copy passwords. By using a VPN, you prevent that. The third thing everyone should have is a private email. Now, this is an email that doesn't replace any of your other emails. It's solely used for account recovery purposes. And why it's so important is I can loot all of your financial accounts by getting into your email. What I would do is either hack into your email or steal your device, and then I'm going to go to every one of your sites and hit the forgot password link, and they're going to send a reset link to the email associated with the account. So you want to have a separate paid-for service, not a free one, something it costs like $10 a month. And you use that email solely for purposes if someone wants to change the password on the account. This blocks that entire attack. Once you've got that software on your devices and this email set up, you have to get all of your accounts, put them in the password manager, reset them to very lengthy, sophisticated passwords that are unique. You need to do the same thing with all of your home technology, anything connected to the home Wi-Fi, and never use the family name on the home Wi-Fi. And then you have to turn on a bunch of settings. You need to turn on about 900 settings. As I said, there's like 60 on an Apple device, 120 on Windows. Then you have to go into your search engines, your browsers, and your apps, turn on all the privacy settings. Meta, for example, if you use Facebook or Instagram, there's about 80 settings you have to turn on. With LinkedIn, there's 115 you need to turn on. But if you turn all these settings on, and you've done all this, very quickly, it's very hard for the bad guys to get you.
Now, does the protective software, let's call it your password manager, how do they protect themselves from getting hacked?
Yeah, they have layers and layers of cybersecurity, and they're set up so that even if they got breached, the underlying vaults, which hold everyone's passwords, have their own separate passwords to get into. And so as long as the person is using a very lengthy, sophisticated password, it's very hard for the bad guys to get past that too.
So for $35 a month, someone can basically eliminate or at least substantially mitigate their risk, maybe leaving the only potential risk is human error, as in the user does something stupid.
Yeah, the way to describe what we help people do is to operate online with good basic cyber hygiene. And a classmate of mine from West Point, he used to be the Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for Cyber. When we were setting the company up, he told me that If everyone did this, like 97, 98% of all cybercrime at the individual level would go away tomorrow. Right now, it's just so easy for the bad guys to steal a lot of money from a lot of victims.
Yeah, in fact, a story broke recently about a major crypto heist. And I've heard cyber people tell me that governments like North Korea fund their military through stealing cryptocurrency from people.
Well, it's even worse than that. If you went to downtown Beijing, you would see people walking into office buildings that are wearing suits and ties, carrying briefcases, and their job is to go in and steal money. They openly operate Russia, China, North Korea, and China, Iran, as well as Belarus like this. The gangs are run by people who by day are their intelligence or cyber warfare officers attacking Western institutions, and by night they moonlight and steal money. And as long as their interests do not conflict with the state, they're allowed to openly operate. And these groups steal billions of dollars every year.
So let's talk about some of the common things people are seeing every day where they need to have their antenna up. And I'll volunteer the first one. I bet even you've gotten that text message that says, hey, your toll pass is severely out of date. Click here and pay your toll bill now.
Yeah, that's called a smishing text. There's also emails that have similar things like about 1.5 billion times a day, these things are sent around. And notwithstanding how people have been told never, ever click on any of these things, about 200 to 300 million times a day, people actually do.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so you have to remember, one, they're not going to send you a text like this. They're not. When in doubt, never click. That's the only way to handle it. Another one I'd be worried about, which is more common, is called a vishing attack. And this is where someone's going to pose as your bank, your custodian, or even your financial advisor. And they're going to call you. And they'll know a lot about you, and they'll know a lot about either your bank or custodian or your advisor. And they'll say, oh, John is out today. He's on an airplane. He just texted me. And he's really worried because we just got tipped off that someone's trying to get into your account. I need you to open your account right away and put this code in so we can make sure it's safe. And the code will give the bad guys access to all your money. The rule, and they'll spoof or copy the caller ID for your advisor, or for that matter, your bank or your custodian, and they'll be very authoritative, incredibly persuasive. They'll know a lot about you. You got to remember, if there's ever a problem with one of your accounts, all they're going to do is turn it off. The first step is just turn it off. And the reason is that you want to keep anything from being stolen. And then maybe it's inconvenient, but you can sort it out later. And they will never call you and do this. They just do not. But the confidence and the slickness of these people is really scary.
How about other high-risk things such as travel? I'm going to go on a cruise and we're going to brush 10 miles off the coast of Cuba on our way through the Caribbean. Where's the risk there?
Well, one of the silliest things you could ever do is plug your device into a public charging station. These things are assembled in China, generally. And more often than not, if you plug into it, two bad things are going to happen. Your information is going to go out, which they can use, and a virus is going to come in. Now, you can protect yourself by buying a little device. It's called a USB blocker. They're sold on Amazon. They're sold at Walmart, Target. It costs like $2. And what you do is you plug this device into the public charging station, or same thing with a rental car, quite candidly, and you put your cord in the back of that. It's like a prophylactic. It prevents anything bad from happening. And the only thing that happens is electricity comes in, but nothing goes out and no viruses come in.
I love that. What's that called again?
A USB blocker.
A USB blocker. You mentioned rental car. So for those that kind of upload their tunes or their contacts to a rental car, same deal?
Yeah. I mean, the companies don't do anything, but there are, shall we say, a lot of aspiring entrepreneurs who work at these dealerships or these rental car places who will grab your information and sell it. And understand, including your information might be your passwords, could be a lot of confidential information you don't want to give to anybody. So if you're ever going to plug your thing into a rental car, you should use a USB blocker.
How about old cell phones that you just kind of keep around? Is there any vulnerability to some of those things? Old devices?
Any device, not just cell phones, laptops, tablets. Again, they're recording tremendous amounts of information on them. And so what you need to do is wipe them. So as part of our service, so the client will pay for it for shipping the device, we'll wipe the device for them. You want to make sure the memories are cleared. Because what happened is someone can get into that device, particularly if you throw it away, and they'll actually get into the memory, and it'll have all kinds of things you never want to share with anybody, and that they can use to steal a lot of money from you or actually target your family.
Wow. I bet a lot of people just throw that stuff away or look for the recycle bin at the local recycle center.
Another example is our digital light bulbs. People love these things because they turn the lights on automatically and they can push a button on their phone. You realize the digital light bulb comes with a chip on the back of it. So what cyber criminals will do is they'll regularly look through the trash of houses that have these types of light bulbs because they get the chip. They then have a password to the entire network and they can compromise everything. So you always remove the chip before you throw it away.
I guarantee no one's ever thought of that is going to watch this podcast. No chance. Okay.
Look, I'm not trying to scare everybody, but if you do some basic steps, it's very easy to protect yourself. But if you don't, oh my goodness. And if you talk to the guys at the FBI, the guys they're really worried about, sure, the people who are going to steal your money, but it's the predators. I mean, these people going after kids, they go after kids and grandkids regularly. And unless you're taking these steps to protect the information you put online, you're really not just exposing yourself, you're also exposing your kids and your grandkids.
So the 3 steps are A, we want a password manager so you can use funky, long, egregious passwords that even a supercomputer can't guess. 2 is you want to have a VPN, which gives you a private network so that it's much harder for an outsider to bust into. And 3, you want a secure email service.
Yeah, separate pay for private email.
Like not Gmail or Yahoo or one of those.
And you don't put your name on it, anonymous. But you also have to turn on all those settings I talked about. And you have to get all the accounts into the password manager and reset their passwords.
And part of the service that your firm offers helps people with all those settings and the changing of passwords, et cetera.
We provide the software, we set you up. It's 24/7 support. We do everything for you. As we like to tell our clients, the only time you'll get us upset is if you don't call us. We're always available to help you.
So Mark, just so we can close properly here, please tell folks the name of the company and where they can find you.
Our company is Digital Privacy and Protection. Our website is www.d as in dog, pripro.com, dpripro.com. And if you're a client of Napier, we've set up a landing page for you where you just come into www.dpripro/Napier. And what will happen is you'll fill out a form because you can't get our service except through your financial advisor. So you'll give us your advisor's name. You give us your contact info. Your advisor will get an email letting him know this has happened. And what will happen with you is you'll get a text message and it'll have a link to schedule a 10, 15-minute appointment with one of our guys who are happy to get on the phone and explain everything to you, answering questions you have.
So in 15 minutes, someone can understand what it's going to take to get this done.
That's right. All the stuff's involved. And if you're interested, we'd be delighted to schedule an onboarding appointment. We do this for people all over the United States and Canada.
Yes, you do. Well, Mr. Hurley, I want to thank you for your time today. And I could tell you that I'm a satisfied customer of Digital Privacy and Protection. It's working for me so far. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. Appreciate your time today.
All right. Well, that wraps us up here today on cybersecurity. I know there's a lot that we didn't cover. We may do this again at some point in the future. If there's anything else you want to know about cybersecurity, say that 3 times fast. Why don't you reach out to Digital Privacy and Protection or directly to one of the Napier team members. Thank you. Thanks for tuning in to Making Sense. If you got something valuable out of today's episode, share it with someone who'll appreciate it. And don't forget to subscribe. One last thing. If you love the show, open your app and give the show a 5-star review. Until next time, thanks for listening to Making Sense.
The views expressed on this podcast represent the opinions of each speaker and are subject to change. These views are not intended as a forecast, a guarantee of future results, investment recommendation, or an offer to buy or sell any securities. The information provided is of a general nature and should not be construed as or used as a substitute for individualized investment, tax, financial, or legal advice or service to any person. Financial planning and investment advisory services are offered through U.S. Financial Advisors, a registered investment advisor. Certain representatives of U.S. Financial Advisors are also registered as representatives of Great Valley Advisor Group, a registered investment advisor. To learn more about Napier Financial, please check us out at napierfinancial.com.